What's up, guys? Welcome back to yet some more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. So be sure to subscribe for more Reddit content if you haven't already, and let's get into today's stories. Guy calls 911 from hospital emergency room. Many moons ago, when I worked as a paramedic for a major city, we were assigned a call at an address that looked familiar. We arrive, and sure enough, it's a hospital. We don't do inter-facility runs, only 911 calls, so now we have to find the patient. After 20 minutes of checking all the parking lots, etc., we ask the dispatcher to call back the caller. Turns out the caller was in a bed in the hospital emergency room and called 911 because they weren't treating him fast enough. We had to go inside and explain to the person that for us to take them from the emergency room to transport them to another emergency is not only illegal, our EMS agency is not licensed to do so, only for 911 calls from non-hospitals, but he would have to wait all over again. We of course still had to do paperwork on the call and go a few blocks away to do it. The dispatcher calls us again for the same call type, now at the intersection where the hospital is located. Sure enough, the guy just walked out of the emergency department, went to the payphone at the corner and called 911 again. He was still complaining that his stuffy nose wasn't being addressed fast enough. We called for a lieutenant as the patient hadn't been discharged, as he just walked out, so it fell into a still not legal to do area. Fortunately, the lieutenant had balls and told the guy he had two choices: go back into the hospital and the lieutenant would see what he could do, or he could go to jail for malicious false alarm. The guy took option 1 and we had to do paperwork for 2 nonsense calls. They just stared and wouldn't let him in. My 14-year-old son and I are in the lobby of a motel in Oklahoma, waiting patiently to get a second room key, as a woman berates the poor guy behind the desk. My husband has a heart condition. Walking around the building could have killed him. He forgot his key in the room and tried to get in the back door. Someone saw him but just stared at him and wouldn't let him in. They just stared. He has a heart condition. He had to walk all the way around the building. They didn't let him in. She continues this rant, the poor clerk apologizing, until she runs out of steam and sputters off. Sorry that happened, man, I tell him as he makes our key. My son and I proceed out to our car to continue our day. Once we're safely inside, my son turns to me and says sheepishly, "That was me." Not to ruin the ending note of the tale, but let me explain for those who don't know. From the day he entered school, it was drilled into my son's head to never open a locked door for a stranger. To clarify, my son is 19 now. He's a good boy, and when it happened, I explained that forgetting a room key doesn't entitle anyone to be let in the back door. We chuckled about it at the time and chuckle about it to this day. No one died. My neighbor thinks I should change my camera angles to look over his house too. This is ridiculous. Had to share. I recently bought and had outdoor cameras installed for my house after I saw them in All They Can Do at my aunt's house. The cameras are pointed around my house. A few days after getting them installed, my neighbor knocked on the door and asked about them. I told him that they're for extra security. He asked about the features and I sent him the ad from the company. He then asked something I wasn't prepared for. He asked if I can change a few of my camera angles so that it can have his house in the view as well. I laughed, thinking he was joking, but he told me he was serious. He said that we should do the neighborly thing and move the cameras over so that if anything happens at his house, he will have footage. He also asked for access as well, and said that we can both have the added security. I told him no and suggested that he should purchase his own. He threw a fit and is now threatening to contact the HOA if I don't honor his request. Good luck, buddy. Update. I did reach out to my HOA yesterday via email about the situation. They responded a few hours after saying that they were made aware of the situation, but that no rule was broken, that I'm in my rights to have surveillance of my property. They also added a reminder to try to limit the view of other properties. Another neighbor of mine texted me that my neighbor was so upset about the outcome of his inquiry that he apparently has decided to pull out of our neighborhood watch. His reasoning being that he, quote, doesn't feel like neighbors are truly trying to look out for each other, so he will only watch his own back from now on. Poor thing. Person expecting me to give them my earnings for her charity cause. Years ago, I taught Zumba classes. When there was a tragedy or someone in need, often a bunch of instructors from around town would get together and do a Zumbathon to raise money. I used to co-teach at a church, and classes were very well attended, like 2 classes per night twice a week with 100 to 150 people per class. Every once in a while, the church would ask us to do a fundraiser, and we usually just announced ahead of time that we were donating that night's receipts to the church, in case people wanted to contribute extra. One woman called me because she was part of a walkathon or something, where you put a team together and the team raises money together to donate to the overall cause. She wanted me to donate the money we earned from a regular class to give to her for charity. I explained that we are happy to do fundraisers for groups, but they have to provide the venue and participant. We would promote their event in our classes and teach for free, but it was their event. She didn't like this. She figured since we do it for the church that hosted our classes, we should do it for her too. I pointed out to her that this was my job, and how I earned money to eat and pay my bills. She knew my co-instructor was a teacher, so she said she'd talk to her since she had another job. I asked her if she'd already asked everyone else she knew to donate a day's wages to her cause. She was not happy with me. It still astounds me that this person decided the way to donate to a cause was to make someone else do all the work and sacrifice. You won't come into my apartment to serve my pizza? I'm calling the cops. My friend Adam was sharing stories, and he had this gem. Back in the mid-90s, he was a young college student. This is before he met his wife, Belle. Because he was strapped for cash, he took a job as a server, cook, delivery driver for a mom-and-pop pizza restaurant. Most of the people he interacted with were great, but then there was Karen. It's a weeknight during the final semester of his senior year, so it's pretty dead. A standard order for a large cheese pizza and breadsticks comes in. Because Adam is the only driver on duty that night, he gets sent to deliver to the Dragon Karen and her offspring. Adam arrives and immediately gets a strange feeling in his gut. The complex is run down and looks shady as hell. Just wanting to deliver and get out of there, he passed a CCTV camera and heads to the address. He hears the gaggle of children running around and screaming and hoped that it was a good sign. Surely, nobody would dare do anything stupid around their own children, right? He knocks on the door and our Karen answers. Looking over her shoulder, Adam can see that the apartment is small, but clean and well kept. Well, as well kept as having a bunch of children running amok under your feet can cause. "Hi, did you order a..." Adam said. Karen grabs his arm and begins to pull him into the apartment. "Finally, it's about time you got here." Adam wriggles his way out of her grasp and backing up a couple of feet says, Whoa, 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 back up, what are you doing?" "You're delivering my pizza, right?" Karen said. "Yeah," Adam said. "You were going to serve us. I'm a single mother with 3 children, so I need all the help I can get." The strange feeling in Adam's gut got stronger. "I'm afraid I need to get back to the restaurant. I'm the only driver on duty." "They can wait. Now get in before the pizza gets cold." Karen reaches out her clawed hand to grab Adam. She looked at him like she was a hungry shark and Adam was a wounded seal. Adam drops the boxes and runs out of there, not wanting to get dragged by Karen into her den. She yells at him, "Get back here." As he didn't have a cell phone, he rushes back and tells the owner what happened. The owner made sure Adam was okay and told him not to worry about it. Adam forgot about the experience until a couple of days later. He was busy cutting and boxing pizzas when the owner comes up and says, "Adam, there's a couple of cops here to see you." A bit worried, Adam comes up and sees a couple of detectives, their badges visible. They introduce themselves and ask if they can speak. Adam says sure, and they go to an unused booth. They ask if Adam had delivered pizza to a particular address a couple of days ago. Adam says, "I did. Why? What's going on?" The older of the two reveals that Karen had reported that Adam had tried to assault her children. Now Adam is really nervous. At the time, he was applying to be a police officer, a dream he's had since he was a little boy. He knew that any allegations of any type would be a black mark against him. The detective, apparently noticing Adam's nervousness, softens and asks, "What happened, son?" Adam told them about the delivery and how Karen had tried to drag him into the apartment to serve the pizzas to them, how he dropped the boxes and took off. He also told them that the owner knew about the situation. When he finished, the two detectives look at each other, nod, and then look back at Adam. Adam at this point is sweating bullets. The older detective smiles and says, "You're okay, son. We know you're telling the truth." Adam gets confused, and that's when the detective explained. This wasn't Karen's first report to police about a delivery driver trying to assault her children. This, coupled with the inconsistencies in her story and the CCTV footage catching the whole event, made them suspicious. They just wanted to get Adam's version of events before proceeding to the next steps, whatever that would be. Adam told me he was glad he was sitting down because his knees gave out. The detectives got his contact information, thanked him for his time, and went on their way. Karen's name and address was added to the blacklist as a result of her little stunt. My speech therapist wife got yelled at by the middle school drop-off monitor. My wife is 5 feet tall and petite. She's a speech therapist, and once I had to drop her off at a middle school to do hearing assessments because her car was in the shop. She was running late, and we were sitting in the line of cars waiting for the drop-off spot. I told her just to go ahead and get out and run in. She got out, put on her shoulder bag with all the assessment gear in it, and started booking it to the entrance. I then got to watch and laugh as a large male teacher on morning duty started yelling at her and running after her, threatening to give her detention for not following drop-off rules. She said, "I'm so sorry, I work for the district. I'm just late for hearing assessments." And his face was pure gold. Poor guy couldn't process if she was a super sharp 13-year-old pulling a fast one on him, or an actual woman in her late 20s. She showed him her badge and he let her go. Needless to say, she did not let me pick her up in front of the school with all the kids at the end of the day. I met her on the other side of the building. Caused food-stealing coworker to puke all over himself. Small business. Max 10 people were in the office at the same time. So when someone is stealing food from the fridge, people notice it fairly quickly. However, this was the owner's son. Now, the owner was known for nicking food, but he would at least pay you back. Sometimes. His son, about 20 at the time, did not, and was also a dick about it, and most of the people were getting fed up. So one day I brought food coloring from home, which my wife used to make blue treats like cake and ice cream for our kids. He was always stealing my dairy products, and I thought the blue would make it less appealing. Almost forgot about it until a coworker was fuming that someone had eaten almost all of her cottage cheese, and that she didn't have enough for herself. So I asked her if she was willing to sacrifice what was left, sprinkled a few blue drops in there, went to the culprit and said, "Dude, were you eating this? It's gone bad, you can't eat this. How did you not notice?" I could hardly finish my sentence, as he threw up all over his desk and himself, violently, for all to see. The blue spots in the leftovers I showed him did look rather dramatic. And that's going to be it for today, friends. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. And as always, if you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit shenanigans. So take care, and I'll see you next time.